Nothing nothing like a good old poke in the gooch, you know? The best thing about getting poked in the gooch is that it really can kind of get under your skin. You know, it could be very sensitive, sensational. You gotta tread lightly for obvious reasons, you know. Skiing down a mountain, might find some mud. Could find a puddle of mud. Could become famous. Or she may just fucking hate you. She probably hates me. But when you leave a mark on Skid Row, you leave a lot to be desired. And then you have a crisis. And speaking of crisis, welcome to episode 11 of Often Beats. As you can tell, this is an actual video form. What does that mean? It just means you can watch on YouTube if you want to see my 6.5 out of 10 face. Or you can listen to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever the fuck works for you. But as you can tell, my setup is pretty fancy, you know. I actually have a gym in my closet because, you know, I can build some traps in there as I'm listening to a little R. Kelly. Speaking of building traps in the closet, I think Drake Bell might be. Well, he's going to be able to fulfill his wish in jail because he's actually just pled guilty. I did I believe it was episode 5 or 6. I could be wrong. Somewhere around that range. But Drake Bell from Drake and Josh, you know, he basically was sexually texting a teenager, and she came to his concert on December 1st of 2017, and he decided to basically read in between the lines. He probably gave her drugs, inebriated her, and then did a little child acting on her, except she will be left with a lot of scars like a lot of child actors. But he never had experienced that shit because, you know, he was on it. And essentially he pled guilty, which on the high end, he could spend 6 to 18 months in jail, but realistically, he probably won't, if at all, or in prison. So yeah, he actually pled guilty. And all these people out here were saying, you gotta give him the benefit of the doubt. You just don't know. It's like he was texting a girl when she was 13 years old. And then he finally followed through on it at 15 years old. The guy admired the hustle to wait 3 years to get some My Little Pony. But, you know, hey man, dedicated to the game. When you're into young things like that, it makes you feel youthful, I would only assume. But you know, sometimes some things should stay in your youth, including the girls or the little boys you touch. You know, when you're 16, touch a 15-year-old, fine. When you're 33, yeah, it looks a little different. Whatever, who cares? Anyways, so I've been contemplating something recently, you know. Today in the world we live in, it's a beautiful sight, you know. You can become who you want. You can succeed. More importantly, you can be you. But you know what you can't be? A person that always feels like you have to have an opinion about something. I know this is very contradicting coming from a person who's kind of but not really giving an opinion. But like, you don't have to have an opinion about everything. It's okay to be like you don't know or you don't care to acknowledge something. Not every subject you have to care to talk about. But if you are going to talk about something, right? Like, it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong, technically. That's not really the issue when you talk about something. The issue is when you haven't really thought about it yet. You haven't really thought about, you know, exactly what you want to talk about. Like, for example, this person came up to me and he wanted to talk about critical race theory, right? I've read about it. I guess, oh, fuck it. I'll just talk about, was it the governor of Texas basically banning, the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, I believe is his name. He actually banned the teaching of critical race theory in school, right? Here's the thing about that, man. If you want to, learning about something has nothing to do with whether you believe in it or not. But I do believe that purposely not teaching something, purposely taking out the possibility of teaching something in a curriculum or school, kind of defeats the purpose of education, right? Isn't the whole point of education is to learn about all of it? Like, whether you believe in critical race theory, which I'm not even going to pretend to summarize it because I kind of get it, but it's kind of confusing to explain because there's a lot of factors in explaining it. But essentially, you have a lot of like white parents that don't want it to be taught in school because they feel, actually Ted Cruz, which is interesting, he actually said, believing in critical race theory is the equivalent of being a Klansman. Basically, teaching or believing in the theory of critical race theory is just as racist as actually following through on your beliefs and actually killing people, lynching, hating, where critical race theory, I guess the only argument like you could kind of say that would only even make kind of sense, I guess, is saying that, well, if you believe in critical race theory, that means you must believe in, hating all groups type of thing, or hating white people and shit like that, which I don't think it's really like that. I really don't. I think we learn things in school just because they teach white supremacy. That doesn't mean they're telling you to be a white supremacist. But not teaching all sides of, let's just say, civil rights, right? I think this is very important to remember. Like in school, at least where I went to school, and a lot of people I know personally, they kind of have a similar message. We were never taught Malcolm X in high school, right? We were taught MLK, but we weren't taught Malcolm X. Now, why is that, right? Well, Malcolm X is considered, quote unquote, he had a lot of extreme radical views, at least, quote unquote, right? Because it could be very violent, grotesque type of thing, I guess. But when you really look at it, I'm not breaking any news here, he wanted the same thing as MLK, right? Wanted civil rights, equal rights, black liberation, essentially equality. I know, crazy. But Malcolm X didn't feel that doing it in a very gentle or silent protesting way was the way to get the point across, right? And I think in some ways he's not really wrong, because if you even look today, like people that are uncomfortable with certain things, their excuse is always, well, if people just did it like this, then it's fine. But when you do it like this, it's very aggressive. It's very uncomfortable. Yeah, it's kind of the point. Like, Malcolm X actually wanted the same thing as MLK, Literally. Malcolm X just felt like you had to do it a completely different way than what MLK wanted to do. But even though at the end of his life, Malcolm X, like, basically admitted in a sense that at least his personal feeling was he didn't believe that doing all the, quote unquote extreme, like, stuff that he thought the way was to get equality and liberation was really the way to do it. But the message was still the same of what they wanted. And I think when you have people that purposely don't teach certain parts of curriculum because it actually has to make all parties have to think, or it may actually have to have you, like, what's the process I'm looking for? It actually makes you have to learn, I guess, which is kind of education. Because learning, it's funny. It's like, I think they're so much more comfortable teaching MLK's version in school. Because MLK's version is a way that makes people feel comfortable. And by people, I mean, you know who I'm talking about. And this isn't even about, it makes it where everyone can point to, like, see, if you want something done, this is the way you have to do it. And in the long run, MLK, he did, obviously his plan, the idea at least worked, But how come Malcolm X doesn't get similar amount of credit? In terms of curriculum in public schools, right? Why would a curriculum purposely not teach critical race theory or Malcolm X? Because the point of education isn't to agree with it, is to be presented with information and you kind of connect the things of how everything makes sense. We always talk about knowing history and shit. Or do we only want to teach the history in school where it's comfortable for everyone? Because the whole point, to me, when you learn the most about yourself in life, or when you learn the most, or when you're uncomfortable. You have to be put in uncomfortable situations, like acknowledging shit, right? Why would the curriculum not want to teach it? And it has very little to do with whether you believe in critical race theory or not. Like, I've talked to someone yesterday about it. He absolutely hates it. And he was saying that it's dangerous to teach it because if it is not taught right, he's saying it's dangerous to teach it because if you teach it, if the wrong person teaches it wrong to a group of kids and teaches it with an agenda per se, right? Then it can completely fuck up a way of thinking. But I would just say this. What does not teaching it do? The whole point of education is to learn more, whether you believe in it or not, right? We learn a lot of really, really theoretical stuff in history. In order for a theory, we learn a lot of theories aren't proven. Theories have to be tested and tested for it to find out if it's applicable. And there's no theory in the world that's 100% bullshit. It could be, there's theories that are fabricated. There could be theories that aren't fully well thought out or something. But I don't know how you can say that critical race theory is something bad to teach. Because if you feel that something teaching your kids is going to make them quote unquote feel guilty, then maybe you're not really parenting well enough to teach them about basic life shit. Like if your kid goes to school, right? He's like, hey mom, I learned about critical race theory. I think I'm a complete racist. It's like, maybe you did pretty bad parenting to make your kid think that learning something, he has to apply all of it, right? Gotta remember, it's a theory. It's not a full like law that critical race theory exists. But you should learn theories if they're applicable and well known around the world in a sense. It should be taught. It should be, learned, I guess. I don't know. I'm not even well versed on this. But I do think I think it's very problematic to completely say you can't teach this. And for someone to compare critical race theory to being a KKK Klans member, saying it's just as bad. Well, one thing's a theory, one thing is an idea, one's a thought process of what someone thinks about, race in a sense. And one was actually the action. That someone, all those ideologies, all those ideologies or beliefs like lynching against essentially anyone that's not in their race group, pure hate, actually followed through on a lot of that bullshit. A theory and an action are somehow equally as problematic. One makes you think, whether you believe it or not. One makes you understand when you talk to someone about this stuff, or when you're having quote unquote deep conversations about things. And one, there's no justifiable way to justify it unless you 100% believe in it. Which if you 100% believe in what the KK was doing, I think we know, who you are. But yeah, I just thought that's an interesting little thing. Anyways, speaking of critical thinking, actually I got a foot massage today. I paid $40 for someone to rub my feet, and this is not a joke when I say this. They give little tug of wars in the back because the lady hinted at me if I paid $25 more, I can get my weight pulled. I could get my rope pulled to whichever side I wanted. But I decided no. I'm on vacation. Maybe if I had like a long, stressful work day, or if I had a long day in the office, hence here, maybe I'll consider paying the extra $25, feeling myself, no pun intended, tugging the bean, cupping the potatoes, the little skillet potatoes. I don't know. But I think foot massages are very odd. They're a very odd concept when you think about it. Like, why the fuck? Like, who actually decided, like, my feet need so much attention? Because I'm walking. I wear 2 pairs of socks. I have uneven balance. Anytime I walk, my heels hurt. I literally have an Achilles heel. I need a Herculean effort just to lift myself up in the morning. But it seems like a scam. Like, I feel like if you just step your feet in like some acupuncture, like, why do I have to put needles in my feet to feel good? I just think foot massages are for the weak, You gotta have a nice touch. And when you are touching very, very sensitive things. So, if you give good feet massages, right? If you take care of feet so well, is the whole point of taking care of feet is to eventually take care of your man, because the word on the street, according to studies, I'm not even kidding, foot jobs make men come quicker than hand jobs. Why is that possible? I have a theory. Yes. I have a critical foot massage theory. I have a critical foot rub theory. Or foot job. I guess it's called foot jobs. I don't know. I'm not very well savantted with the toes. But you do gotta toe a fine line when you're, messing with the shaft, I guess. I think because our feet can be so rough, right? If you're walking regularly, you go hiking, go for runs, you play sports, you just use your feet a lot. Your feet stink sometimes. Your feet are going to always stink until you shower. Feet are going to sweat. Wear a pair of sweats. Whatever, man. I think it's like an experienced woman. She's going to know things that a younger woman's not. Like she's been around the block. She's been, part of that crypto chain block, She's building up her value. And I'm assuming the best feeling would be like a 58-year-old woman. They would probably give the best foot jobs, where they're not exactly in Alzheimer's yet. They're not exactly in those stages where their hip starts to need a replacement, but they're seasoned. They're like seasoned grilled chicken, except instead of all the seasonings like lemon pepper, paprika, Old Bay, that's for fish, but whatever. You get my drift. It's just like salt, pepper, and then like parsley maybe. Where, you get a little bang, no pun intended, but it's not going to change your life by any means. But my theory is that foot jobs feel better than hand jobs. Because we are not very skilled with our feet the way that we are with our hands, right? So if we use our feet, it's kind of like the element of surprise. Is that feeling of something new, where men are used to hands being on their dicks, whether it's our own, comrades, associates, your girlfriend. That should have probably been like the first thing I said, but gotta name all the unlikely scenarios before you hit the most likely scenario. And after a while, it all kind of feels the same. But feet. Every person's feet's different. A lot of people's hands are basically the same. Feet just feel different. Some are rough, some are smooth. You could put lotion, you could do this. You can with your hands, but it's not the same. You could play footsie. Some girl puts her foot up and she's like patting it like a hot steam towel in a clubhouse during batting practice on a July 8th at SunTrust Park. And she puts her big toe in between the seams and call it a two-seamer. And I think foot play, there's a reason why people have foot fetishes. I think I'm starting to crack this code. I think feet are literally down home, they're literally down to earth. And it's that feeling of that other person is doing it. There's no way you have 100% control of your feet with whatever movements you're doing. So it's almost like if they accidentally do something and it feels good, it feels that much better. I think the combination of the lack of, you can't really overthink with your feet. You're just basically swinging toes down there, swinging ankles. Especially if they have like a ankle bracelet because they're on probation, even better. Because like the second like they move in the right direction, starts beeping, they gotta bring it down, and the lower the better. And it's really I think it feels so much better because of the mental more than what it actually feels. I don't know. Especially if they just got like a little bit too long of toenails. Like if the toenails are a little bit longer than they need to, and they may scratch, it's like a nice like scratch. It's like when you scratch your neck when something's itching and you got the perfect fingernail length for it. And it's just like, that's the spot. They got longer toenails. Nice little scratch to the gooch. Makes you want to smooch like it's a Valentines. And actually, I did see a video earlier. It looked like it was from recent years, but some dude went on national TV. He kind of wrote a book, basically essentially saying, Valentines, men should boycott Valentines. And he was basically saying, he went on TV, he was on like some local news station, he was debating with this other girl. But he went first, and he was basically saying like, it's become a way for, make sure I kind of get it correct. He's basically saying that it is made for a woman to take advantage of something that they want power over. They want control over the other gender, right? Like basically, women want control of the men on Valentine's Day. Whereas this weird thing where if you don't get me something, we have a problem. But if you do get me something, it doesn't guarantee anything. And the other woman was saying, who hurt you? That was her first response. Who hurt you? And I think that kind of like proved his overall point. Because, he's not breaking any news when he says like chivalry's dead, right? Like the more you get for your significant other, or he was even talking about wives too. He's like, nah, fuck your wife. Like your debt of gratitude to her is the life you give her, which he's not crazy. I don't think you have to get something for your girl Valentine's Day to prove nothing. My personal belief is you should be kind of like, if you truly have someone you value that much, you should probably just kind of do stuff regularly, spontaneously. Is that even a word? But his idea was, what was it? I'm a fucking idiot. Yeah, he's basically saying boycott Valentines, my fellas. And I don't know. Me personally, I'm not. I love getting girl stuff on Valentine's Day. It really boosts my unwarranted ego. Why do I like getting girl stuff on Valentine's Day? Because it reminds me. I had a girl break up with me 3 days after Valentine's Day. And I knew she wanted to break up with me like 3 months prior. But, she had to get that one last Valentine's Day gift, and I don't blame her. And 3 days later, I take a stroll to the gym, waiting outside, about to go in. And the second I'm about to get out of my car, had a good workout plan. I think it was like back, tries, and my calves. I know that's a weird combination, but hey, your boy was on the mark. And I get a call in my Pontiac. I didn't have like a legitimate Bluetooth. I had to connect it through an actual wire shit. It's kind of janky. And I answer the phone. I think something's wrong because she's crying. She's crying hysterically. And I'm like, what's wrong? She says, I can't be with you. And I was I was less mad that she wanted to break up with me. I didn't even care that I just got her stuff on Valentine's. Simply, you could feel some type of way if someone breaks up with you very soon after their birthday or Valentine's, because then it kind of looks like they just stayed with you a little bit longer to maybe get an extra gift or something. And yeah, you could feel some type of way. I was mad because I had work in like 3 hours, right? I planned my day perfectly, ate perfectly, drank perfectly, hydrated, showered. And I'm literally about to get out of my car. She would have called 20 seconds later. I would not have answered because I don't answer phone calls when I'm at the gym. And so now I'm in my car. I can't hang up with a girl that's crying hysterically and just broke up with me. So I'm sitting there. I just sit in my car for the next hour and a half while she tells me everything she absolutely hates about our relationship. And by the way, 90%, I don't blame her. But I was pissed because it interrupted my perfect... There's nothing worse than when you prepare for something and you don't even get a chance to take advantage of it. It's like if you prepare for like this, if you prepare for the ACT and then you wake up that Saturday morning, you get your Chick-fil-A biscuit in the morning, you wait an hour because you got to go to some random high school 3 miles away to take in their auditorium gym. Like, imagine if you get there and they're like, don't worry, we moved it to next week, even though you prepared your whole morning, everything. You're like, what the fuck, man? Or if you have a baseball game at 6 p.m. and it's the Bronco League, and then at fucking 2 p.m. it starts raining, even though you've gone through your daily routine. You're looking forward to all day. You're planning, my 2 at-bats today before I get pinch hit for it because I'm a very bad opposite field hitter and it's a lefty. How the fuck... It's like, I prepared so much, and then it rains out. And then they cancel the game or postpone it. And then you're like, oh yeah, maybe we'll play this upcoming Thursday. And then they never reschedule the game, and you miss out on the game, and you look forward to playing in the game. That's what this phone call felt like. Not even be able to take advantage of my potential gains because of the loss of the woman I just lost. I lost a lot of things that day. My mind, my girl, my gains, and most of all, my will to do better for myself. It was a big L that day. Man, youth. Youth is a beautiful thing. I think youth is built for pain. Why do I say that? Pain is very subjective. But at the same time, is it very subjective? Or is it objective, right? Like, pain objectively makes you a better person. It really does. Like, because you will try so hard to not put yourself in that situation to relive that pain. Which is why we have a lot of damaged people out here that absolutely just hate each other and use people and then... blame like, oh, all women suck, all men suck. It's like, yeah, well, you deserve it. And then on a subjective point of view, pain is really a temporary feeling. Can you really control your pain, right? Like if you're in a lot of pain, let's say you lost someone close in your life, right? It's normal to feel that pain in your life. Like I remember, what was it? A year and a half ago, I lost essentially my best friend, right? I lost him to cancer. And I don't mean like one of those friends that like you kind of kept in touch with and then like every 9 months you may go out to the Outback and, get a bloomin' onion together. I mean like a friend that we went to a casino like weeks before, hung out on a weekly basis, and he had kids. He had like a family, and I went over to his house. We went to DJing parties. I helped him set up his equipment. Like, he really inspired me, made me better, because as an older gentleman, he didn't want me to make a lot of quote unquote similar mistakes he made in his life. So he saw the man at a young age when we worked together, and he really brought me a lot of like real life relationship guidance. And I don't mean with just like girls and shit. I mean like actual, like, really taught me how to, what you think you have to do to get what you want in life isn't always how you think it is to get there. Like, it's not just working hard. It's not just, doing your best. You want to get things in life you're going to have to do some shit, man. Like, you may have to fuck someone over. Not on purpose, but it's probably going to happen. And, during my life, looking back, I kind of did do that. Not on purpose, but when you're selfish in your ways, striving, to the moon. But what I was saying is, when you're carrying that burden of someone really close to you, right? Someone that's in your everyday life, someone you hang out with regularly. Like, I literally was around him like the 2.5 weeks before he died. And I was sending him text messages like, hey, man, what's up? Never got anything back. And the worst part is I found out he died like a month after he actually died. And they already had the funeral. And I really felt some type of way that no one ever reached out to me to tell me. And yeah, but I felt pain, for a long time, but it wasn't always abrupt, right? The weirdest part is I felt a lot of pain. But I didn't always know. Obviously, I felt a pain. I felt like missing something. Like it was an adjustment away. But it wasn't like I was crying every day, right? Or nothing like that. But then like 3-4 months go by, right? And I'm watching this movie called 7 Pounds, right? And I'm watching with someone. And we were in their basement watching it. And the movie's pretty damn sad, man. And it, after the movie, me and this person, we're talking about the movie. We're talking about personal things. And, I never really talked about it with anyone. And then I just lost it. Like, genuinely crying hysterically. They're probably looking at me like, oh my God, this fucking pussy. Hey, man, you know what? It is what it is. I'm not going to apologize for being a pussy for my best friend who died. But that shit, man, it really, but once I released it, right, I didn't feel the same burden, but I always still have him in memory. And I wonder how much of that was a choice. Like, could I have gotten that burden out earlier? Or did I purposely want to hold it in until the right moment was right to release it? Or is there always, it's just going to come out at a specific point? God has a plan when you're going to release it and feel free of it, right? Or, like, is holding on to pain a choice? And is it necessary to hold on to pain for a long period of time to truly learn your lesson from why that pain exists, right? I think pain is a very, very important thing for everyone to deal with. Like, wow, this got really fucking boring. If you've tuned out by now, I don't blame you. I'm tuning out of myself. But pain without love, pain, I can't get enough pain. Because I'd rather feel pain than nothing at all. And weirdly enough, that's kind of true. Actually I heard a quote recently where the best feeling in the world for someone that's sad is to feel pain. Because obviously that still means you're feeling something, right? But I think beyond just because you're still feeling something, I think it's to remind yourself that you give a shit, right? Because the irony of like feeling hurt and pain in a lot of ways is that you feel it because whatever you're hurting by and pained by, it hurts. It hurts. Speaking of hurt, I took a massive shit earlier. And when it came out, it looked like a club and a sub from Firehouse Subs. Toasted, kind of crunchy. Had a little after effects after, I wonder, so how like men have the G spot going in? Do you have a G spot when shit's coming out? Do you get the same sensation? Because I'm not gonna lie, after you take a huge shit, that shit feels really fucking good. If that's what someone hitting the G spot feels like, sign me up. Neither here nor there. But yeah, I just think that toilet seats are they're very perfectly engineered. Just imagine. It's really just a huge cereal bowl. Like you could replace the water with milk, and then you drop complete crap into it. Because all cereal is just crap. Most of it's just sugar. Most of it's like, in this case, you could say Cocoa Puffs. Sometimes you're dropping Cocoa Puffs. Sometimes you're dropping like, little Lucky Charm marshmallows mixed with a little. When you have this one that look like algae, you have ones that look like seaweed. You have ones that like Little Mr. Hankies, and then you have one that look like pillows. Either way, you gotta always watch out for the splash. By the way, is it contradicting to say that you are for something, but you can't apply it to your own life or to someone in your own life, right? Like, it's funny how can you be for certain laws or certain rights, but if your son or daughter were to be that, would you be accepting of it? It's like, a lot of people always say, I don't care what people do in their life. If you want to be gay, then be gay. It's like, okay. So you don't care if people are gay, okay. What if your son, 12 years old, tells you he's gay? Do you still believe in that? You don't care? Or you don't care as long as it doesn't directly affect you? It's like, can you be pro-choice on your body? Can you be pro-choice on abortion? But you would never consider it yourself, right? Could you be pro parents letting their kid change their genders at a very young age? But if your kid wanted that, you wouldn't let them do it. Is that possible? Can you be for something but not actually be for it when it applies to you? It applies to your kids or applies to your wife or your husband. I think that's very interesting. I never have the answers to anything I say. These are literally just open-ended thoughts. As you can tell, I don't prepare for shit, and that's why this fucking sucks. God. By the way, tech advice. Never get a fucking Chromebook under any circumstance. Unless you don't care to do anything in meaning or anything. Unless you just want to check your Gmail all day and call it a day, go the fuck ahead. But if you want to actually do any software shit, pain in the fucking ass. You want to edit videos? Pain in the fucking ass. You want to watch YouTube? Fine. You want to look your emails? Fine. You want to go on the internet just to look up bullshit, USA Today, ESPN, Pro Football Talk, NFL.com? Fine. But if you want to, download an app to, clean your computer. Nah, bro. You gotta have this Linux. You gotta create more space to have this Linux thing. And then when you create space on that, then you can transfer to that. But then you got double the files, which takes double the memory, which means we're using more and more memory just to do simple shit. Simple shit turns into long shit. And to put it simply, it fucking sucks. It fucking sucks. Google Chrome. I'm not gonna say it's garbage, but it's pretty sewerage. God damn, my diction sucks. All right. Let's see. All right, I think I'm gonna end that today. All right, you could go follow on TikTok, and I promise the next episode won't suck as much. But hey, we got video. Follow on TikTok, Off and Beat. Follow on the IG. Follow on the Tube. And remember to suck your mom's titties. Well, not your mom's, but each other's. Sharing is caring, especially when she's with a bear. Because bears, they take little girls off of hammocks while you're sleeping literally in the fucking tent. Who lets their little girl get pummeled by a bear? Who goes in the fucking woods and doesn't protect the 12-year-old girl from getting pummeled by a fucking bear? You fucking, god damn it. Shit. Alright. Peace. And suck some titties.